Fifth, have you ever wondered what the world was like 12,000 years ago? Forget what you see in movies with giant mammoths roaming frozen plains. The truth is, the world was going through a massive transformation. A global warming event that completely reshaped life on Earth and set our ancestors on a new path. This wasn't just a slight temperature tweak. It was a total climate makeover. The great ice sheets that had covered huge parts of the globe were in full retreat. As the ice melted, the world warmed up, and this shift changed everything. Imagine vast icy tundras slowly giving way to something new, something greener. In many areas, especially in places we now know as the Middle East, Europe, and parts of Asia, this warming trend led to the development of sprawling grasslands. Think of endless seas of green, waving in the breeze. This new landscape was a paradise for a specific type of animal, the grass eaters, denemerous of deer, wild goats, sheep, antelope, and wild cattle absolutely extinct. They had an all-you-can-eat buffet, and their populations thrived. Now, what about the humans living at this time? For thousands of years, our ancestors had been nomadic hunter-gatherers. Their lives were dictated by the seasons and the movement of the animals they hunted. When these new, massive herds of grazers appeared, it was suddenly. There was a more reliable and abundant source of food. But there was a catch. These herds didn't just stand still. They moved, following the best grazing spots. So, what did the people do? They followed them. This wasn't just a mindless chase. As these hunter groups shadowed the herds, they started to observe them more closely than ever before. It was like a long-term field study. They learned what these animals ate, where they went for water, and most importantly, they learned about their breeding seasons. They saw how the herds grew, how the young were born and raised. This intimate knowledge sparked a revolutionary idea. Instead of just hunting these animals, what if they could manage them? What if they could keep them close, protect them from other predators, and ensure a steady supply of food? This was the dawn of herding. It didn't happen overnight. 2. It was a slow, gradual process of people starting to guide the movements of wild herds, selectively culling some animals while protecting others, especially the females and their young. This shift from hunting to herding, was one of the most significant leaps in human history. It was the beginning of animal domestication, a relationship between humans and animals that continues to define our world today. Few started to think about having a mobile food source on the hoof, a living pantry they could take with them. This was a radical departure from the old way of life. But the land wasn't the only thing changing. As the glaciers melted, sea levels rose, and coastlines shifted. Rivers swelled, and new lakes formed. This created brand new ecosystems teeming with life. For communities living near these new bodies of water, another food source became incredibly important. Fishing, which had always been a part of the human toolkit, now became a major activity. People developed new technologies like nets, hooks made from bone, and possibly even early forms of weirs or traps to catch fish in large numbers. Archaeological sites from this period are often littered with fish bones, showing just how vital this resource was. It provided a stable and protein-rich food source that complemented their diet of meat from the herds. So, we have a world with new grasslands, huge herds of animals being managed by humans, and booming aquatic life. But there was one more piece to this puzzle, and it was growing right under their feet. The warmer climate wasn't just good for grass. It was also perfect for another type of plant, grain-bearing grasses. In different parts of the world, wild versions of the plants we know today as wheat, barley, and rice began to grow naturally and abundantly. Imagine walking through a field and seeing it filled with stalks heavy with nutritious grains. The men, women, and even children of these communities would have collected these wild grains. It was a bonus food source, something they could gather while following the herds. As they collected these grains year after year, they would have learned crucial things. 2. They learned to recognize the best plants, they learned where they grew, and they figured out the exact right time to harvest them, just as they ripened. They would have noticed that seeds dropped on the ground would sprout the next year. This observation, simple as it sounds, was the seed of another revolution. It would have sparked an idea, a question. What if we don't have to just find these plants? Or what if we can grow them ourselves, right where we want them? This was the beginning of agriculture. People may have started by clearing small patches of land near their campsites and intentionally planting the seeds they had collected. They would have tended to these plants, protected them, and then harvested their very own crop. This combination of herding animals and intentionally growing plants created a powerful new way of life. For the first time, humans were not just taking what nature provided. They were actively shaping nature to meet their needs. They were becoming producers of food, not just consumers. This fundamental shift from hunting and gathering to farming and herding is known as the Neolithic Revolution. It didn't happen everywhere at once, but it started in this period of dramatic climate change. This new lifestyle had profound consequences. Farming requires people to stay in one place to tend to their crops. Herding, while more mobile than farming, also encouraged people to settle in favorable grazing areas for longer periods. This led to the creation of the first permanent villages and settlements. Life became more sedentary. People started building more durable homes. With a more reliable food supply, populations began to grow. Communities became larger and more complex. This stability also allowed for specialization. Not everyone had to be involved in finding food every single day. Some people could become skilled toolmakers, creating polished stone axes to clear forests for farmland. Others could become potters, creating ceramic vessels to store grain and water. Others might have become leaders or priests. This is the foundation of the complex societies we live in today. It all traces back to this pivotal moment, around 12,000 years ago, when our ancestors responded to a changing world with incredible ingenuity. They didn't just survive the change, they harnessed it, and in doing so, they laid the groundwork for everything that was to come. Villages, cities, civilizations, and the modern world. It's an amazing story of human adaptation and innovation, driven by the powerful forces of a changing planet. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey back in time fascinating, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into our incredible human story. See you in the next one.